I know those faces, I know those names. Still don't recognize the words they say. Everybody's talking like a certain light verse or song you tend to throw away. But don't ask questions, we draw lines. Call it true, call it fact. Somewhere love went quiet, or we were taking sad. I ain't mad, I'm just one thing, watching Chinese lose again. So I'm holding on to what I know before the nose tells me who I am. If everybody's choosing sides tonight, I'm choosing where I stand. I won't sell my soul to be right, or let hate feel justified. If this world's trying to make us less, I'll stay where you are me. The fate wasn't meant to be a weapon. That wasn't meant to be a threat. We turned belief into a battle, then wonder why we burned it down. Everybody needs a villain, someone easy to blame. But love don't live in shouting matches, it only stays when people stay. I still believe we're better than this, even when it hurts to say. So I'm holding on to what I know before the noise tells me who I am. If everybody's choosing sides tonight, I'm choosing where I stand. I won't sell my soul to be right, or let hate feel justified. If this world's trying to make us less, I'll stay where you are and made. You ain't weak for one piece, you ain't broken for the hate. You ain't alone standing in the middle. Try not to lose your faith. The love don't scream, love don't shove, it bleeds, it waits, it stays, and it still matters. It still matters. I'm holding on to what I know, even when the crowd won't bend. If this whole world's tearing itself apart, I'll start with what's in me again. I won't sell my soul to be right, or let my heart turn hard inside. If this world's trying to make us less, I'll stay where you are and me. Where you are and me. When being certain feels like home and time starts to cross, I remember love was never land, but it was never lost. Where you are me.
Ain't been the same here since they shut the sawmill down. Hard times in Arkansas, a lot of good folks leaving town. Those of us that stayed behind, you know we gotta make ends meet. Living off the land down here, hunting for the food we eat. Doing what we can just to stay alive. And just like old Bo Seaver said, the country boy can survive. My granny's in the kitchen, cooking up some beans. Mama's down there at the creek, washing up her jeans. Daddy's passed out in the yard, drunk as he can be. My brother's making moonshine, sister's growing weed. Hard times in Arkansas, well, that don't bother me. back here in these hills, hell, that's all I've ever seen. They say that I'm an outlaw, just like Jesse James. I ain't never killed nobody, never robbed any trains. My neck is as red as the dirt on my feet. Born in the backwoods and country as can be. Doing what I can just to stay alive. And just like old Bo Stevens said, the country boy can survive. In the kitchen, cooking up some beans. My mama's down there at the creek, washing up our jeans. Daddy's passed out in the yard, he's drunk as he can be. My brother's making moonshine, sister's selling weed. Hard times in Arkansas, well, that don't bother me, 'cause back here in these hills, hell, that's all I've ever seen.
Welcome to the Outlaw PSA special presentation. How y'all doing tonight? Hope you're doing great. Let me get Matt Guka on here and get things rolling.
Hi, guys.
Good evening, Matt. How you doing?
Good.
Excellent, man. All right.
Went for a 4-mile walk today. Dumbass me.
Don't ask you about the 4-mile walk, or
No, I'm a dumb ass for doing a 4-mile walk. I'm trying to get ready. My brother, nephew, and I are going to Glacier National Park. I'm going there for woo, and they're going for everything else.
Why'd you walk? You should have ran.
I know.
4 miles, man, that would have killed me. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could run 1 mile. Maybe chased I could. I'm not sure. All right, so welcome to Outlaw PSA special presentation with Charles Zukowski. He'll be on at 7:30. He's a UFO field investigator. Tonight we're talking alien disclosure, cattle mutilations, alien tech, and the 37th parallel, the alien highway. Sounds fun, right?
Yeah, that's been an interest of mine for a long time. Is the 37th parallel? It's very interesting. Not only UFOs, but it's a whole bunch of other stuff. Cryptids, spirits, entities, different kinds of portals, different kinds of stargates, different kinds of dimensional slips, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with Skinwalker Ranch, Roswell. And you saw that thing I sent you about how many earthquakes was it? Like 10 or 12 earthquakes?
12.
12 earthquakes at Roswell.
And I never knew they had a fault line in there. So you know it was something else.
Oh, yeah, there's deep underground testing going on.
Yep.
That's what I think. All right, man. All right, so are you ready to get going with this?
I am.
All right, cool. Let me get this rolling. All right, so I have a little bit of strange news for you, and then we'll play a couple tunes, and then Charles should be with us anytime, all right? So I saw a couple cool things. This is called the possum plushie. You know, a plushie is like a stuffed animal, right?
Yeah.
So a real Australian brush-tailed possum was discovered sitting perfectly still on a shelf at a Hobart Airport gift shop, blending in with the other plush toy animals. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. I think I saw that. They actually have pictures of it. Look it up. He looks like a stuffed animal.
And it's just sitting there perfectly still.
Yeah,
How did it know to go on the shelf and sit with all the other animals?
I have no clue. Smart one.
Yeah, for real. Okay, here's another one for you. A train driver in India, gained viral fame after spotting a buffalo on the tracks, stopping the train and personally guiding the animal to safety. Would you get out of the train in India and go up to a buffalo to guide it off the tracks?
No, but a buffalo is sacred animal, so
Yeah, in India for sure.
yeah.
They don't they don't kill them, do they?
No, if they kill them, it's worse than killing a human.
Yeah, as they believe that you'll probably come back as a buffalo.
Right,
They
sacred animal.
yeah, they bathe them. They feed them like a special diet. They treat them like children.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool, man.
more than human, better than human beings sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so here's another one for you. A crocodile in the creek. So a freshwater crocodile was captured in a creek near Newcastle, Australia, over 1,200 miles away from its usual tropical habitat. Isn't it amazing how far that they can travel?
Yeah,
Travel
that's
for
crazy.
They travel for food, right?
Right.
Hey, so I keep hearing about this thing that you have for Reverend Rob. Is it the Ethiopian Bible?
Yes, I got 2 copies, for me and for him. So probably sometime this week or next week, I'll be traveling over to the west side.
Oh, very cool. Hey, you should come
Yeah,
out on a Thursday after we do the show so you can go up to Smedley's for jam night.
I might do that.
Because
Might
Rob's
be a
up.
good day.
Yeah, everybody's up there doing stuff.
Do they got good NAs up there? Mocktails and stuff?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably a Coca-Cola.
Okay, that'll work.
I don't know what they have. I don't go there that often. The only time I've ever been up there, I met. Sorry about that. I met Rob up there, and I had a beer.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably end up going there one Thursday.
All right. Um, the Reverend said the buffalo there live better than the majority of the population.
Yep,
That's probably true.
that is true.
Okay, so this is called the Mudang Intruder. A man was arrested at a Thai zoo after he climbed into the enclosure of Mudang, the internet famous viral pygmy hippo. What's the fascination with people climbing into the enclosures for animals?
Being stupid, I don't know. They want to be close to them, and they think they're tame because they're at the zoo. They're not tame. They're worse off at the zoo. They want to get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's right.
Excuse the expression.
Did you ever see the one of the drunk guy? It was somewhere in Asia, and he climbed into the lions.
Yeah,
Or
that's stupid.
he was tripping on acid or something. He was on something, and he got in there, and like he was putting his hand out, like trying to get them to come up and like so he could pet them and stuff. That lion took
Ow.
one swipe of him, man.
Yeah,
Then there was that other woman that climbed into the polar bear enclosure. She got
yeah,
in the water. She was wading in the water. That polar bear went right into the water, man. I don't know what
yeah.
these
They're hungry.
I don't know what these
They're
people are
idiot.
like. They think that they're playful or something.
Right. They go to SeaWorld and see that stuff, and they think that's what it is at the zoo, but it isn't. I
There
still wouldn't climb in a place in SeaWorld for wild animals either.
there was a story of a guy that was drunk and he went to see, do you ever see that one where he went to SeaWorld and he got in the water with one of the orcas?
No, I didn't see that one.
That thing tore him apart. And they found him the next day. The orca was just playing with him like a doll. He was
Yeah,
totally mutilated and dead, man. I don't understand those people. Like I'm not getting in the water. Never get off the boat, right?
never get off the boat. Never go into the cage, or don't even go into the zoo sometimes.
It's crazy. All right, I heard about this one. This is kind of cool. This happened in Ohio. The accidental jackpot. An Ohio woman mistakenly bought the wrong lottery ticket. She ended up winning $1.8 million.
Damn,
Isn't that great?
that is great.
I wish that was me.
Me too.
I would be so dangerous with money. All right,
I'd take that million. I'm
yeah,
not greedy.
it's almost 2 million. You know what you can do with
Yeah,
the money? We'd
I
have
got
a
a lot of things I could do with it.
we would have a huge
Huge,
studio.
huge bonfire.
Yeah, you could burn dollars in it.
Yeah,
Be like the Greeks dancing with money, right?
right.
All right, so this one's for Reverend Rob out there. I saw this one and I had to put it in. This is the priest versus the Pokemon. A head priest of Trinity Episcopal Cathedral in Pittsburgh is facing charges for allegedly stealing over $1,000 worth of baseball cards from Walmart. Thou shalt not steal.
Yes,
That's
that's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy too. Like, you're a
What's he
priest.
gonna? Yeah, but what is he gonna do with them too? Gonna sell them?
Probably sell them.
Yeah.
Do you think he had his priest outfit on?
If he did, that would be ridiculously stupid.
Oh, Father, for our sinned. That's fantastic. Yeah, so I'm super excited. Charles Zukowski will be with us. Man, this is another opportunity for us to talk about UFO disclosure because it's everywhere in the news right now.
Right. And this guy, very cool, very different way of investigating too. He does it as a skeptic, even though he knows about it. He goes through it that way, doing investigations. And I want to ask him about his law enforcement stuff too while he's on, because that interests me too.
Well, I didn't include that in any of my questions, so you're free to ask
Yep.
him whatever you want about that. He reminds me of David Palisades, where
Yeah.
he's also an ex-detective and investigator, and how he goes about investigating, Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Chuck Zukowski goes about investigating UFOs in the 37th parallel. So
Exactly.
that's gonna be super cool, because it's more of like a forensics approach to it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
The, the other thing,
Almost evidence based kind of situation.
yeah, and the other thing I'm interested to know is, being a detective is like what tools does he use to investigate with?
Right.
I mean, that'd
Because
be
I know he was part of MUFON for a while too. So
yeah, and he also has that TV show, The Alien Highway,
yeah.
and
Is that still on?
I'm not sure if it's still on. I was watching a couple of the episodes earlier today. I was watching about the 37th parallel because I really didn't know that much about it.
It's a crazy subject. Very crazy subject. If he that's one of that's going to be the topic for me because of what Chuck is going to be talking about through this thing. I'm going to do another like deeper depths into it for Thursday.
Yeah,
This
and
is a
look,
very cool subject.
the thing that I saw was, although there's a lot of UFO sightings all over the map, most of them go along that 37th parallel.
Right. Cattle mutilation, certain cryptids, the like I said, portals, the whole gambit.
A total
Whole
straight
gambit.
line right across the United
Right.
States. I wonder if that line, we'll have to ask them, that goes from across the United States into Europe and then around.
Right.
I wonder if that's a thing.
That
Gas
might be an idea. Yeah.
Gas prices came down.
Yeah.
They released some of the reserves, I heard.
That's probably the reason why it went down.
But we're also supposed to be starting up the war again.
Yeah, we're still blockading the blockade. So
Did you hear the rumor that, and I don't know if this is true because you can't really trust anything our government says, but Iran said today that they hit a United States frigate in the Strait of Hormuz.
that's what I heard too. I heard that from what was it, a Sky or BBC newscaster?
Yeah.
As
Rob,
I was flicking stations.
Rob said that a whole 8 cents, and I think he's referring to the baseball cards. Actually, though, some of those baseball cards are worth hundreds of dollars. I had a friend that sold them, collected them and sold them, and I don't know. It's not my thing. I wouldn't be a
No.
baseball card collector, but some of them are worth a lot of money.
Yep, depending on who's on there and a lot of other stuff.
I'll tell you a not so funny story is I collected baseball cards as a kid and football cards. I had Joe Montana's rookie card, which is worth a ton of money these days.
Yeah.
My parents took all my baseball cards and gave them all to my nephew.
Oh, jeez.
And then he passed away and they buried him with him. Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah.
My parents, they loved me, man. They loved me. Fuck. Yeah, all my cards, I had I even had like a Babe Ruth card and a bunch of really old cards and stuff. I was collecting when I was like, I'm 58 now. I was like 10, 12 years old. I had like
Damn.
all the Indians guys, the rookie card of Joe Charbonneau. Man, they just like fucking me. So,
Yeah.
thanks, Ma. All right, man, let's play some music. Chuck's going to be coming up real soon, and we got to get ready for him. So here we go. This is the Sensational Country Blues Wonders. This is Mad Tea Party. And then right after that, I'm going to play... hold on a second. I'm going to play... I always get this guy's name wrong. Danielle Bruachetto with the song Nira. And we'll be right back. I'll see you in a minute.
See ya.
Right? See ya.
Yep.
To a mad tea party where time stands still and laughter's hearty, a place where chaos will be found and the universe is upside down. It doesn't really matter because we're all mad as hatters, crazy about far. All the best people are. The Hatter, Dormouse, and March Hare all are certain to be there. Everyone is mad, you see, sitting there and drinking tea. It doesn't really matter because we're all mad as hatters, crazy about far. All the best people are. Watches dipped in tea and pointless conversation. It's always 6 o'clock, a peculiar situation. It doesn't really matter because we're all mad as hatters, crazy about far. All the best people are.
All right, here we go. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. We lost some signal there, but we're back and ready to roll. So, Chuck Zukowski is a prominent UFO and paranormal investigator who has researched unexplained phenomenon for over 30 years. He is best known for his 37th parallel theory and his television appearances investigating cattle mutilations, UFO sightings along what he calls America's paranormal highway. Please welcome to the show, Charles Zukowski. Welcome.
Hi.
Hey,
Good evening.
nice to meet you, Chuck.
Hey, nice to meet you guys too. So how are we doing tonight?
We're doing
Good. How are you?
Good, good, doing real good.
Good.
super excited about
Nice.
this interview,
May the 4th be with you guys.
Yes. May the fourth be with you.
and also with you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's get right into it, man. Chuck, often called the Ghostbuster for aliens, the 37th parallel in the alien highway. Beyond the concentration of sightings, why do you believe this specific latitude is a paranormal highway for non-human technology?
Oh, it's a good question. Originally, when I was thinking about certain patterns, that these cattle mutilations and UFOs and bases across the U.S. I was looking for patterns basically. I just kind of figured, okay, there's got to be some kind of rhyme to this reason of why these animal mutilations, at least in Colorado, New Mexico, and then even other states in Missouri, were happening around the 37th degree latitude. So I started looking into it, and it was one of those aha moments where there was a very shallow earthquake that occurred in Colorado on a 37th degree latitude, and then within less than 24 hours, another one occurred on the East Coast. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, very shallow, almost like maybe there might be some tunneling involved. So I started really, investigating what was going on, and I realized that not only did we have some prominent UFO sightings and cattle mutilations along that the perimeter, that we also had military bases too, and also some UFO crashes, Aztec, and then Taos, New Mexico, Dulce, New Mexico, Area 51, all the way into the East Coast. And why I started looking at east to west in the first place is because the majority, actually, I shouldn't even say the majority, every one of my animal mutilation investigations that I've personally done, the animals were originally facing east to west, or I should say lying east to west, which was really, really unusual. Now, every one of my investigations, I'll have a clipboard and paper, and I'll actually draw out the crime scene, sort of like what a lot of detectives will do in law enforcement. They'll draw out the crime scene with evidence and certain things. It helps you think about it as you later on when you're looking back at trying to figure out what's happening. So I'd always sketch out the animal, and then north, south, east, west, the latitude, the longitude, and then certain aspects about the area. And I started going through all my notes. I'm going, wow, every one of these guys are facing east to west. The bodies are. And then, oh, look, this is 37th degree latitude. This is that. I've worked a couple of cases in Illinois, Missouri. They're 37. I worked a case in Nevada. That was 37. And I started looking at the whole ball of wax there. And there was ancient Native American sites involved. And I'm going, hey, okay, so what's going on here? As you dive deeper into that, it turns out that the majority of aquifers or underwater supplies that we have in the United States, you can hit every one of the aquifers on the 37th degree latitude. And there are some other things on the latitude too, like oil reserves and some other things. Now you have to think about, okay, well, why am I thinking that way? Well, I had a theory also about hydrogen. I've had it for a decade or so now, that the UFOs are using hydrogen as a form for propulsion or an energy source that that they transform into energy for propulsion. And I can explain that a little bit later. But it turns out that every one of my animal mutilation investigations, the animals were lying near a water source. A lot of the UFO investigations I've done, even in Missouri, Clearwater Lake, and other places, that the actual craft themselves have seen coming out of the water, that that tells me that water is kind of interesting to them. And why water? Well, the only reason it would be water, and this is a water planet. It's what, 75, 74% of the surface is covered with water. And within the past couple of years, we found out we have more water underneath the Earth. Well, underneath, the level, not underneath the whole planet, but inside of the Earth. We have more water in the Earth than we have on the surface of the Earth. So we are definitely a water planet, which makes it really interesting to, let's say, alien visitors. So we're very, very rich in hydrogen. Now, we don't have a lot of hydrogen in the atmosphere. It's usually oxygen, nitrogen. So it's not like these guys can fly through the air and pick up hydrogen. So they have to extract it not only from water, but they can extract it from oil reserves too. So the more I dug in, hydrogen is very plentiful in outer space too. A lot more than we thought. Last couple of years, NASA's figured out that there's a lot of hydrogen. So you put all that together, along with the aquifers and the mutilation cases and the UFO sightings and UFO sightings in history, and you get this 37th degree latitude theory. Now, I'm not saying that the only UFOs or only UFO sightings happen along that, because that's not true. But like we have highways, we have Interstate 70 or 10, Route 66. I mean, we have our own highways. Interstate 10 is just outside of where I live, and that goes from coast to coast. The only interstate that actually goes from coast to coast. So we have our own well-traveled highways, and on those well-traveled highways, we have truck stops. We have places where we need gas and we need food and some other things. So if you look at the 37th degree latitude theory, if you think of that as a major turnpike or a major interstate, it has its own truck stops, meaning under aquifers, caverns, a lot of great places to hide. Merrimack Caverns, I think, in Missouri is on a 37th. So it actually just looks like it's prime real estate for a good highway. And it's real interesting because over the years, I've been challenged on it a couple times, but then I've also had other people that try to challenge it, and then they come up with their own reasoning why it's a good theory. So much so that it was written into the book. I don't know if you could probably see it behind me somewhere over there. 37th degree latitude. And so the book was written about me, my investigations, my theory. And then the book was optioned for a movie. COVID hit and it kind of ended that. But it was a New York Times bestseller. And I didn't make any money from the book at all. Ben Mesrick, who wrote it, paid all the money. I just got like 12 free copies.
Well,
Yeah.
But since the book's been out, even within just a couple of days ago, I've had people even read the book and they're really fascinated with it, and then they email me their own stories, that come from that general area. So it's pretty cool. It's ongoing. Got something else I can tell you in a little bit, but go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
no, it's totally good.
Yeah.
You brought up
Learning.
a something about cattle mutilations. Why do you think that they're facing east and west in your investigations? What do you think is the reason?
That's a really good question, which I've been toying with for years. Until I can't tell you too much, but until very recently, I had a physicist, retired physicist, contact me, and he goes, "I'm working on this issue that I can't believe it, but there's something to this 37th degree latitude." And I can tell you, I mean, it's about all I can tell you right now because he's in the process of trying to write a paper on it. But he sent me gobs of information and mathematics, and everything was pointing to why things are occurring along that latitude. And and there's electromagnetic fields involved and some other things too. And then I started thinking, well, maybe that's one of the possibilities because, and especially animals, especially cows, but horses are usually the two cases that I've done with horses. They were lying east to west also. That if there's some type of EM field, cows especially, they're very, very in tune to the environment, very in tune to the environment. So they really know what's going on, where they're living. Maybe they're kind of in tune to this invisible to us, waves out there or something. But or I guess just got to throw this all the way out too, because really we'll have to backtrack on that because when the animals are found, they don't die there. They're killed somewhere else and they're placed there. So whoever places them there places them on east to west. So I had to backtrack that a little bit because I was thinking about something else with the way I was getting EMF readings and stuff because I was falling on east to west. So let's backtrack a bit. Every one of my animal mutilation cases, the animals are lying east to west because whoever did the mutilation itself placed them east to west. So now you have to figure out, okay, why are these guys placing these animals on east to west? So,
Oh, that's really crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So
I do believe that they do feel energies, Chuck. I've been doing a lot of studying on animals and stuff throughout this paranormal, and they have a better feel for certain things in nature than we do.
yeah, I don't know if your viewers are understand what a mutilation, but real quick in a nutshell,
Yep.
the animal is picked up from location A. Generally, they're away from the herd a little bit for whatever reason. Not that they're real far away, but maybe 40, 50 yards, maybe for whatever reason. And they're picked up from location A. They're taken to an unknown location B. They're drained of blood and cut up, mutilated, surgically cut up. And then they're brought to location C, which is in close proximity to where they were picked up, location A, generally around 30 to 50 yards. I've had two cases where I knew exactly where the animal was picked up at. And so, that's why I came up with the 30 to 50 yards because it falls within that range. So whoever's placing them, they're placing them back close to where they picked them up, and they're placing them at an east to west location or direction. Now, they're not dropped. Now, back in the day, you'd listen to the Christopher O'Briens, who, sorry to say, passed away, I think, last year. And then Linda Moulton Howe, she's just an investigative journalist. She's not really a field investigator. They always say the same, they were dropped. They were dropped. No, absolutely not. They were absolutely not dropped. Because even if let's see if I can see this. So let's say you have an animal like this and you drop it. Did you see the pen move? Okay, the pen moves. So if you take an animal and you drop it, and when they drop, a lot of my cases, you'll see an indentation in the ground, a crater, if you will. Not a very big one, maybe an inch or so, depending on how loose the dirt is. So they come down pretty good. Now, every one of the cases, the animals come straight down. There's absolutely no movement from the legs, no movement from the head, hips, nothing. It's as if you had a fiberglass cow and just laid it down and it never moved. So it's placed. It can't be dropped because even if it was dropped, and these things, the legs can move. They're, rigor mortis hasn't set in because I've been there within 24 hours. So it's easily to move the legs and the head, and I've had to flip the cows over. So there would be some scuff marks in the ground from them moving if they were dropped, but they're not. They're placed. And sometimes I'll pick up high electromagnetic fields from the animal, and sometimes I'll pick up high electromagnetic fields from the ground where the animal is. Sometimes there's a round ground depression, almost like a crop circle, but not really. Just something that kind of flattened out the vegetation a little bit. and that might be about 16 feet, 20 feet in diameter. And then so I do soil samples there. In every one of the cases I've done soil samples, including Colorado, Kansas, and Georgia, it came up with the same sound, same conclusion. The CECs or cations in the soil near the animal are different than the cations or the soils from my test, segment that I'm comparing it with, meaning the soil is less soluble near the animal for whatever reason. The nutrients have changed. The only thing that over the years that I can figure out, and then, I design microchips and I deal a lot with electromagnetic fields. So the only thing I can think is high, an EMF, electromagnetic field, is high frequency radiation, and it can harm you if it's really potent. But so I can think, all I think of is the EMF that I picked up a few times. If it was high enough in radioactivity, it will alter the nutrients in the soil because it's radiation.
Chuck, why do you think that the cattle and horses are being mutilated, but when there's human abductions, it's not happening to humans like that? Why do you think the cattle are being done like that?
Well, there were what I personally know of three cases where there were humans, and I apologize right now because I didn't brush up on the one. I forget. There was a famous one that was outside the United States that occurred, but I did read a copy of a case report from one in Tennessee and one in Canada that it was a human mutilation. I mean, and it fit the criteria. Now, I can't tell you. I've done so many of these that when I've talked to the ranchers, they fear for their lives. Some of them do because they don't understand what happened to their cows. They know how their cows die of natural causes. It's when they don't die of natural causes it scares them. One rancher's wife in particular wouldn't go outside at night anymore because now after the mutilation they saw these like car headlights coming up over the mountain and then disappear. And then she goes, that's it for me. And I don't blame her. But out of all the cases, I've never heard one instance where, well, okay, there had never been an instance where UFOs have affected a rancher. There are a couple of incidences where when the rancher touched the animal, the mutilated animal, within 24 hours of the animal being killed, the hand or the arm would go numb for a little bit, which tells me there's some type of EMF there, something that interacted with the nerves in his hand and his arm that caused it to go numb. So once again, it points back to some type of high energy force that's doing this.
All right, let me ask you this question then. You've linked Roswell, Area 51, Skinwalker Ranch to this line. Are there any lesser known hotspots on the 37th parallel that deserve more public attention, you think?
Well, I mean, Skinwalker. I never really included Skinwalker Ranch or Roswell because that's a little farther out. But you have it goes to Sedona. Where you have the
Yep.
Bradford Ranch, which is and people have to understand the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah is one of many Skinwalker ranches we have in the U.S. The only reason why that one is just so popular is because you had Robert Bigelow buy it, and then he
Yep.
flipped it. Then he flipped it to investors. Now, not that I'm saying anything negative about the Skinwalker Ranch TV show, but when I was filming Alien Highway, we were outside the Skinwalker Ranch, a good 3-4 miles outside, because talking to the local Native Americans, they said this whole area is hot. And I even interviewed a neighbor, a guy's house that is just like 2-3 houses or away from the gates to Skinwalker Ranch, and he's never experienced any type of incidents. Not that it doesn't happen there; it does happen there, but that's just one location in that whole area. When we did that Utah or Skinwalker Ranch type of episode, we were away from Skinwalker Ranch where we had our own experiences. So when I lived in California, I learned about the Lee Ranch, that's just outside of Colorado Springs in a place called Black Forest. And when I moved to Colorado Springs, I went and I found where Lee Ranch was, and unfortunately, the Lee family had pretty much shut everybody out and wouldn't let any more investigations on the property because it was getting to the point where people were standing outside their fences and their entrances, to get into their property, and it became it was as if they were Johnny Depp. It was just everybody wanted to go in, and they said, "Hey, we gotta draw the line here." I know of one in Arkansas, and I know one in Georgia, and it's at the Bradford Ranch, and then in just past Black Forest in Colorado, outside of Colorado Springs, in between Colorado Springs and Denver, there's one there too. And so you say, well, why so many? Well, it's hard to say. I mean, if you think about uh, dimensional vortexes. I mean, there's what, six vortexes alone in Sedona. Well, at least the six
Right.
that I've ventured to, where the Native Americans can feel energy. And it's funny. You go to Sedona. Just go to Sedona. Go to one of the vortexes and stand there, and just sit there and just relax yourself. And it's weird. You'll actually feel your hair will rise. And we can't pick it up with EMF. We couldn't pick it up with any instruments we had, yet you
Oh.
can feel the energy. So it's pretty cool.
All right, I want to go
Is that
back.
the same? Is that what happens in the Ozark too?
Um, Now the Ozarks kind of interesting too. There's a place outside of the Ozark uh, called I just drew a blank, and I've been there a couple of times. Marley Woods, and Marley Woods had cattle mutilations, UFO sightings, shadow people. I mean, except for Bigfoot, you could almost throw a rock and hit something or hit a person, and they'll tell you their experience there. And I filmed two separate times balls of light coming up above the tree lines when I manipulated the environment two separate times running some investigations. That's where I came to the conclusion that these balls of light, they're not orbs. Orbs are more spiritual. So think of orbs like for ghost investigations. They're spiritual energies with a soul.
Yep.
Where balls of light are like the Foo Fighters back in the 40s, where they're mechanical. They're like probes. Think of them as like our space probes or drones, so to speak,
Yeah.
that we would have here. And I manipulated a field out in Marley Woods, just to the almost the beginning where the Marley Woods section had started. One time I flew to Missouri and I created an artificial magnetic field, and I had that, created this large magnetic field, and a light popped up for a second, and I got that on camera. And another time I went back with my 16 binary light experiment, flashing binary codes and I use that in Alien Highway too. And we got a response there. I got a response in Colorado, got a response there at Marley Woods. But that told me from the beginning that these things are popping up to see what's going on in the environment. So my opinion, at least in Marley Woods, they're really interested in what the changes of the environment.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
are they here, or are they interdimensional? You think, or are they dropping out of the sky to take a visit during these experiments?
Well, I can now interdimension is kind of weird because because every one of the investigations where people have seen balls of light, they've come out of the sky. They've come out
Okay.
of high altitudes in the sky. I interviewed for a TV show I did, Unexplained Files season two. They let me. That's where the 37th parallel was pretty much introduced to the public because I talked about it at an end of a cattle mutilation clip I was doing for season one. And the Science Channel was doing Unexplained Files, and they contacted me and said, "Hey, what's this theory you have? Do you have any data?" I go, "Oh, I got tons of it." "Oh yeah, sure. Let's see it." And bam, I hit them with all my data, and they came back a couple days later after I'd sent it and said, "We'll give you your own episode. You can have your own 1 hour episode to do what you want for the 37th parallel." I'm going, "Oh, you kidding?
Awesome.
This is a piece of cake and the whole cake, right?"
Yes.
And so I got to pick who I wanted and edited it out, and it was really fun. It was, and of course I had Dulce and Area 51, and it was really nice, and in Missouri. And so I was interviewing an airline pilot in Missouri, commercial airline pilot, and he was flying. I I think he was coming from California and around towards Vegas and heading out, and they he got a call from the tower, Las Vegas tower, to bank. They diverted him from his normal route, which is Nellis Air Force Base is here, and he was going around the outskirts of Nellis Air Force Base, so he wasn't in the no-fly zone or anything normally, because there's a lot of commercial airplanes that do that. So they diverted him, and so they had to wait a little bit before they could divert due to whatever traffic, whatever was going on. And as they started to bank, I swear to God, this was in the TV show, and it took him years before he was finally convinced that he could go public with this. He just saw I don't know, he said hundreds, but maybe 100 or so, these balls of light coming out of the above him because he's in an airplane. So it comes out, you can see it in his cockpit come up, comes down, stops. He sees a holographic, what he thinks is a holographic runway off where Area 51 would be, and they went boom and sideways, straight down.
Oh, wow.
Now that was an
Cool.
eyewitness report, and we put him on the show on Explained Files, this season two, the Paranormal Highway. For whatever stupid reason, when they when that episode went to Europe, for whatever goofy reason, Europe seems to think paranormal means haunted. If all you got to do is, for all you people out there that think paranormal means haunted, look it up. Paranormal means other than normal. Basically, it's paranormal, other than normal. Bigfoot, UFOs, Mothman, and ghosts, they all fall in that. For whatever reason, ghost hunters, or not ghost hunters themselves, but ghost investigators had used, they thought they could take the word paranormal and just mean it for ghosts. So whoever did that in Europe, they changed it from paranormal highway to haunted highway,
Yeah.
which, which okay,
That's
has nothing to
crazy.
do with ghosts.
No.
You want to go over there and just kind of smack them on the side of the head because they don't think. But anyway, so I had an eyewitness. This eyewitness, basically explained it. And then when I got a chance to talk to John Lear, when I interviewed him, he told me his own stories too, because he was flying, for the CIA in and around 51, and he's telling me his own stories of what he's seen there. And I got to interview. I can't mention his name, unfortunately. But if you guys want to pay $500 and have me do a polygraph, I will pass the polygraph. Okay. So he worked at Area 51, and he told me his own experience when he was leaving at night his shift, and they were getting ready to get in the bus or whatever. That that he the shift was actually daybreak, because there he did say it wasn't complete night, so it was like early in the morning, and he saw two jets come in, chase jets, and they're coming in like this, right? And he started the bank, and he's watching them, and all he's doing is thinking, "Oh, I wonder what those jets are," because they have Red Flag Day there, and they have jets from other countries come in and they do maneuvers over at Nellis. But this was, coming over 51, and for a split second, he saw a triangular craft blink on and blink out. Swear to
Awesome.
God, that's what he said. I will, submit myself to a polygraph to prove I'm not lying. That's what he said. So,
Like it was cloaked?
yep, like I was cloaked. Yeah.
Are those alien or are those the men the the
Yeah, the
basic
reverse engineered.
reversed? That's the word. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I tried to get Bob Lazar for my episode I did on the 37th parallel, and at the time he wasn't doing any TV. He was getting just badgered by debunkers and skeptics and stuff, to the point where he just put it aside.
Right.
John Lear knew Bob Lazar and contacted him to try to get him on the show, and Bob says, "Yeah, no, I don't want to do it." After the show aired, I guess it was okay because we mentioned John Lear had mentioned Bob Lazar and stuff, and I guess Bob decided, okay, I'll go public. But not that I think that my show did that or my episode did that, but it just seemed it was a coincidence. But even Lazar now, even some of the stuff he's saying now, he was working on, well, there was reversed engineered craft, and then there was, actual alien craft that they had at S4 at Area 51.
Hey,
S force interesting.
going back to the cattle mutilations thing, because I had a question for you. I had heard in the past that the cattle mutilations, that they were like surgically done by like lasers. There was no blood left over. It didn't look like they were attacked by any type of animals. What do you think is the most baffling thing regarding the mutilations of the animals?
Well, even if you want to go back to 67, I think it was, with Snippy the horse. Actually, Snippy's name was Lady. The reporters got it wrong, but everybody knows it now as Snippy the horse. But the mutilations is always about the blood. I found a case back in the late 1800s in Missouri, a small town in Missouri. It was a story that was in Fate magazine, I think it was, and where there was a mutilation, basically. It happened at a small ranch, and these people saw this glowing thing at night hovering over their field where the cows were, and they went into the house and bolted the doors, and and they stayed up all night because they didn't know what was going on. When the rancher, he was with his family, when the rancher went out early the next morning to see what was going on, there was three animals there, and they were void of blood. So we can go back that way, but every mutilation case I've ever come across, it's always the blood, number one. So the blood's always missing. So what happens is, and I can guarantee for all you animal lovers out there, and because it bothered me when I first started doing this, is the animal being tortured. What it is the animal's taken from location A, where it's grazing, to B. The blood is taken out of it first, and then they cut it up. And I can guarantee that's the case because I've taken multiple samples of the actual unknown cuts to a Colorado veterinary lab that's over by Fort Collins. And every one of my cases that I've sent over there, when I got really heavy, there were so many mutilations at one time that was going on in Colorado. I was like sending stuff over. I wasn't sending it. I was literally driving there and dropping it off because, But anyway, there's no hemorrhaging. So if the animal was bleeding out when the cuts were being made, you would see hemorrhaging where the cuts are. That's never the case. There's no blood there. So the veterinarians that worked the lab said this animal was dead at the time the cuts were made. So, and then a couple of the cases that I've seen with my own eyes, the hearts are collapsed. And
Wow.
I had lectured at the Colorado Veterinary Lab a couple of times within 2-3 years because they're teaching new students. That's why you go there, to be a vet. And I went in and I lectured a couple of times with new students about mutilation cases. So if I bring an animal in, what to expect. And in turn, they invited me back to do a necropsy on a horse. So I got to go in the lab with them and help them do a necropsy on a horse. And I specifically said, I want to see the heart. I want to see what a heart looks like from an animal that dies of natural causes. Or let's say the animal was put down for whatever reason. The heart is completely round. Well, it's not round, but it's pretty close. It's about the size of a volleyball, and the horse. It's ginormous. But it's not collapsed. So it doesn't, the heart, unless the animal is cut, it'll bleed out, and the heart will slowly collapse as it bleeds out and dies. But if it just dies, the heart stays pretty pretty round. And then I got to, cut into the left and right ventricles of the heart and see for myself that the blood was in there. And I hate to say this, so for anybody out there that likes grape jelly, that's what it looks like, to me at least. It looks like. Now I still eat grape jelly, but it took me a while after. But when you see it firsthand, and so it tells me that under normal circumstances, the heart does not collapse. But with a mutilation, they do collapse. Some of the organs are removed. There's absolutely no loss of blood. These animals, depending on the breed, can be anywhere from 4 to maybe 10 gallons of blood, depending on the breed. Yet there's no gallons of blood anywhere around the animal where it's laying. There's no blood splatter anywhere on the hide, anywhere near the cuts. So the animal, and like I said, I've seen enough of these where that's the only logical thing was the animal's bled out first, then the cuts are made, and then the animal's placed back.
Yeah, I have to ask you this, and I'm really interested to know: have you ever had government interference where you're watched or redirected on any of your investigations?
No, no, and maybe, maybe. I mean, there's a couple of cases where a helicopter had flown by, but it was funny too because after a mutilation occurs, sometimes an unmarked helicopter will fly over the mutilation place. I've done enough of these where I do follow-ups with the ranchers and they tell me, hey, some helicopter is flying over. And some people seem to, some of the debunkers or skeptics are saying, well, the military's doing, well, absolutely not. What they're doing is they're running their own investigations after the fact. Okay, so that, so there's been a couple cases where I was there and the helicopter had flown by but didn't hover. But, and I've told this on other podcasts too, that within my career of doing this over 30 years, there's only been 2 times where I got a phone call on my cell phone, when cell phones were fairly new, with a couple years apart, asking me specific questions about my investigations, what I learned, and what I think, what it could be. The first one was on Roswell because I'd found a piece of aluminum alloy, non-registered aluminum alloy from the actual crash site. And I did a press release on that in Roswell, and I got a phone call. Okay, what about Roswell? This and that. And the gentleman was very polite over the phone. I told him anything. I answered all his questions. And I said, and I always say the same thing. If you have any other questions, you've got my number, give me a call. I'll be free. I'm free to tell you anything I know. I said, matter of fact, everything I do, I put out on my website. So I don't hide anything. The second time was on cattle mutilations. I just did a crap load of mutilations cases. There was one in Walsenburg that was 8 animals that were mutilated in 3 separate ranches within a week. And they were all cut up the same way. They were all lying on the same side, and they were all facing east to west. 3 different ranchers, 8 animals. And I got a call after that, and they said, "What do you think? What's your theory? What'd you find?" And I'm very honest with them, because in my opinion, I believe the government or certain departments of the government are running. Well, now we know they are, but we're running their own investigations. And if I can contribute anything to help them understand what's going on better, hopefully it'll benefit all of us rather than just saying, I'm not going to say a word to you. Well, you say a word to you. If you don't play nice and you cross over that proverbial, line, you may not be able to cross back.
Now, did they announce who they were when they
Oh,
called?
no, 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 just, hello, Mr. Zukowski, da 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 da. And very, very polite. It was a gentleman's voice. And okay. Now, what's interesting is the piece of metal that I had found in Roswell during a dig for the Sci-Fi Channel. I did a press release there after I've done scanning microchip, not microchip, scanning microscopic analysis on it that it was an aluminum alloy. I went public and asking for another lab to help me. And who do you think pops up to help out? Well, Bigelow, Robert Bigelow, Bass, the aerospace. And so his lab wanted the piece to do their own analysis. We later, and I did. What I did was the piece was put into Maxwell Museum archives in New Mexico. I had to do all the paperwork. It took about a month and a half to do all the paperwork. Asked the board of directors if I could take the piece out of archive, if I could have a piece cut off of it, and sent to Bigelow Labs. And that's what we did. And within 1 week after it was sent to Bigelow Labs, I got an email saying, well, it's an unknown polymer. That it doesn't mean it's not known to the world. It just means it's an unknown polymer. And I never really thought about that other than the fact, but okay. And I said, so what's next? Isotope analysis? And they said, yes, isotope analysis is expensive to do, and you have to destroy the piece to do it in most cases. They sat on it for a year. They wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't return my calls. At one point, I was in Vegas. I was standing outside of Bigelow's, complex there. And I was going to hop the gates, and I decided not to do that. But and find out. And then a year later, they contacted me and said, "Oh, it was nothing. It was nothing." And then in 2000, I think it was 2017, we found out that Robert Bigelow was being funded by the Pentagon for doing UFO investigations and research. And I had an idea they were doing that Bigelow was working with the government before because of something completely different. But so as it turns out, when they had the piece that I gave them, it wasn't really for Bigelow, it was for the Pentagon. So,
Yeah.
so I can honestly say that the Pentagon, did a lab analysis on one of my pieces. I thought that was pretty cool.
Now, have you come across the information about like the Boogosphere at all?
No. I mean, I've just read a little bit about it. It's kind of bizarre. I know there was a couple of things that we wanted to touch on, but God, I get so wrapped up and so focused on what I'm doing and try that most of the time I don't even read other people's books or materials because I think it might persuade me to think in the wrong direction. I know Richard Hoagland. I had lectured with him years ago, and matter of fact, I idolized Richard Hoagland when I first started doing this, because I would see him lecture in California, and I'm going, yeah, I want to do that, and so he was just starting out, and he just put something out just recently on plasma as being a fuel for UFOs, information that he picked up, and I read it, and I'm going, well, yeah. I'd be kind of okay. Well, I didn't really say it was plasma. I say they were using hydrogen, but okay, So I'm kind of finishing up a blog that I'll put out probably tomorrow or the next day. Just basically says, that you create plasma from hydrogen, convert hydrogen into plasma by knocking out electrons, and use a plasma, which is a very highly energy. That you can use for fuel. I mean, that's how our sun works.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Our sun
Thank you.
takes hydrogen, because hydrogen is plentiful in space, and using fusion creates this a plasma, and the plasma, the outgassing of the plasma, is ultraviolet rays A and B, and that's what hits. So I mean, our own. That's the plasma is what's creating the energy for our sun to survive. So if UFOs have got some type of a plasma generator, then they can use hydrogen, which is, you can throw a rock and hit hydrogen out here on Earth. So so if they use hydrogen to create plasma, and then they can use plasma to not only run their vehicles here on Earth, but hydrogen is very plentiful in the outer space too, so they can pull it from outer space, and they have an unlimited gasoline source, let's say fuel source, unlimited to them, right?
Yeah.
So it really, really makes sense. And here's the cool thing that when you take the hydrogen and convert it to plasma, if a craft is using plasma as an energy source, the plasma itself can create this electromagnetic field, and this electromagnetic field will encompass the ship. Now, you can talk to a lot of people who've had UFO sightings, and they'll say that it kind of looks like there's a halo around the ship, or they'll kind of say that it's kind of fuzzy looking. It's not beautiful. And matter of fact, that's never the case anyway. You never really get a clean cut look of a ship. That stuff is photoshopped. So there'll be some type of a haze around it. Well, that's electromagnetic field due to the plasma that's creating this. It's not really a force field. It's just a field of electromagnetic field that encompasses the whole ship, and you get glowing at night due to that. And so it kind of makes sense from my point of view that it could be hydrogen.
I heard Bob Lazar talk about that. From a distance, it appears one way, but when you're up close to it, it has a different look to it completely. Is that because of
Yep.
the plasma around it?
It could, absolutely. But there's, remember the Highland, Illinois sighting? It was a large triangular ship. It went through a couple
Yeah.
different counties, and three different police counties chased this thing. Well, I got to interview, and that was something that I wanted to do for my own episode. So I got to interview one of the cops that actually saw the craft, and then I got to interview the guy who actually reported the craft to the police department. He saw it. Now, what he saw was a building. Okay, he's seeing it was like a building. What the cops saw was a triangular craft. Okay, now here's the key though. Say, so you guys are seeing this right now, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay. Now, depending on how it moves, now it changes shape, right? And now it changes shape, or now it changes shape. So if this thing
Right.
is rotating like this, slowly, or as it moves, it kind of rotates. You're going to get your witnesses are going to tell you or describe it as looking completely different. Now, I'm not saying that's what Bob Lazar was saying, because that could be due to the EMF field, because Bob Lazar knows exactly what it looks like. So that might be the case further off. It's more of a haze as it gets closer. It adjusts a little bit differently to your eyes. But just because I do an investigation on UFO sighting, and party A says it looks like a triangle, party B says it looks like a rectangle, party C says that it just looks like a thin little line, that just tells me, first off, they're all agreeing, all three people are agreeing that they saw something. All three are agreeing that they saw something in this area, so that's a good sign. But the fact that they saw things differently, you have to look at their point of view. They were facing north, he was facing east, the guy was facing west or something, or did it actually move? So these are other things. Just because they don't all agree on what it looks like doesn't mean it wasn't there. It just means that it moved.
Interesting. All right, I have
Right.
one last question for you, and then I know Matt has a bunch for you. But the Department of Defense recent confirmation regarding UAPs. Do you believe the official narrative will align with the boots on the ground evidence that you've collected? What are your thoughts about disclosure? Because we have our own thoughts about it. What are your thoughts on when this is released? Do you think they'll be giving us everything? Do you think we're going to see pictures? What do you think's going to happen with that?
You know, I was every time, and I'll be honest with you, every time we talk about disclosure, an event happens in the world. We're talking about a disclosure, and all of a sudden we're
Yep.
bombing Iran.
Yeah,
Okay, it's almost as if we get to that point, and then we have to pull everybody's attention off to something else, and I get frustrated with it. Disclosures been going on. Now, I did write a blog when Trump ran the second time. I said, look, guys, regardless of what you like him or you don't like him, regardless of your politics, if you want UFO disclosure, your best bet is to bring that guy in office. Why? Because when he was in office the first time, out of all the presidents that say they were going to do it, including Clinton, right? And uh, someone before that, they never did. But Trump put it in the budget, right? That, what they had 160 some days for them to, for the departments to release this information on UFOs, and that's where we got all these cases, right? 150, 100, whatever, 140 days, whatever it was. But he's the only one that actually got it started. So when he ran again, I'm going, well, you know what? He's the one that got it started out of all the other presidents. So our best bet, is get him back in office and see what happens. And since his first office, that started the whole congressional hearings, and it all started, from that. So we still have quarterly congressional hearings and stuff over UFOs. Now, to answer your question, no.
Exactly.
And the reason
Exactly.
is, I believe that if they really want to, and if they decide to, that they will come out with some type of evidence that says we believe intelligent life lives outside. We have enough evidence. We can't prove they're here now, but maybe they were here before or whatever. And they may come up with something like that. And I tell you, look at what's happening with Iran. Look what's happening with Israel and Iran. Look at the riots. Look at the fights. Anti-Jews, pro-Jewish, right? Palestine, anti, pro, Iranian, back and forth. There's too much emotions going on, okay? And people are literally, from what I understand, the Secret Service shot someone today, not too far from the White House. And then you had that idiot that ran through from California into the dinner. So you got some lunatics out there that it's so embedded in their mind that. So I can't imagine that if we come out now. First off, I'll tell you, if right now if Trump came out and said aliens exist, CNN and other places like that, places that really hate the guy, they're just going to say he's just lying to the public. He's trying to divert your attention to what's going on in Iran by coming out with this, unless he actually comes out. And then if you actually do come out with that evidence, they're like, well, that was Photoshopped. Oh, that was AI. That was, if you really want good evidence, you got to go back to the 50s, the 40s and 50s stuff, the pictures that were taken with a 35 millimeter camera film, nothing, there's no manipulation back there. That's what I'm afraid of. There's a lot of us out there that really want it. And a lot of people that are watching this show now that really, really want it to come out. But there's a lot of crazy people out there that will not be able, A, to handle it due to their religious beliefs, B, because of their political beliefs, unless Trump is able to get the whole democracy together, the Democrats and the Republicans together, and all agree 100%, here's evidence. Okay? And you don't have those I don't want to say if Republican Democrats, but those politicians that have their own personal agenda. Right? Everybody's got to be on board 100%. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, anybody associated with politics, to come out and say this is true for it to work. That's the only way we can do it, and I think the majority of people would agree, because right now, back in the day, 25-30% of the population believe that intelligent life exists outside this planet. Now it's like 60-65%. Because as the generations, the newer generations come out, they're just more intelligent. They're just going, it'd be stupid to say that intelligent life doesn't exist. For God's sakes, it's an infinity amount of solar systems out there, universes, and we don't know that much about science. We don't know about opening wormholes. We have our own theories. Right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Right.
So every 5 years, for God's sakes, look at transistors came in what, 58, 57? And then all of a sudden, computers, Before that, right before transistors in the 50s, it was diodes, right? It was, and then right before diodes was vacuum tubes, in the early 50s, and within 10 years we went from vacuum tubes to microchip, the beginning of microchip design within 10 years. So who knows, in 10 years from now, it'll what we're going to have for technology. Of course, it'll be AI, and I'm not really too happy about that.
I
Nope.
completely agree with you about the AI thing because
Yep.
when they release photos, you could easily say that it's all AI created.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, it is.
Yep.
You know, and I've done my own tests sometimes with my blog. I did. There was one major one I did where I wanted to see if people actually read the blog, and I'd throw some Easter eggs in there, and sometime or whatever, and I get these, these comments. I went, well, I know you didn't read the blog because I answered that. It's an obvious question. But years ago I put together, I I had when the cell phones first came out, I got this UFO app where you could take a picture and just put a flying saucer in it. And so my wife and I were traveling somewhere on an airplane, on a jet, right? And I think it was Frontier Airlines, and no, it definitely wasn't Spirit. And, and I'm just taking random pictures, and then it showed this craft off in the distance. And I wrote this. At the very beginning, it says, "This is a story. This is not true." Da, 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 da. And then I wrote about being on aircraft and seeing the flying saucers and how we had to divert against them. Da, 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 da. And and when I finished it, I said now this story this is kind of based on some of the things that might have happened, that people have claimed to happen, but this particular story was all made up. And then you couldn't believe the amount of emails I going, oh my God, what'd you do? Oh my God, And I'm going, did you miss the first paragraph and the last paragraph of the whole vlog? Where I said I made this up.
They never read. They never
No,
read.
well,
No,
Never read anything.
but it hasn't changed. Did you
No.
know? You remember Gilligan's Island, right?
Yeah.
Right. Did you know that when Gilligan's Island came out, that the Navy was bombarded by people that saw it on TV and were wondering how come the Navy didn't rescue those guys?
oh,
Oh,
jeez.
I swear to
jeez.
God,
They didn't
look
get
it up.
the
Look it
minnow.
up. You can still read about that.
Hey, is it true that Bob
Ridiculous.
Lazar put the speech together for Trump? I heard that rumor. That
Uh,
for
you know, it's it's hard to say. I'm sure he's got. I'm sure his speech writers. Some of them are really good. Some of the speeches are really good. And so good that they're getting help, from other sources, to write them.
Yep.
And I wouldn't put it. I could say yes or no. I really I have no idea. I just know that if he didn't and he was part of this speech was related to some of Lazar's stuff, then maybe they just took it from Lazar. They just took it off of his videos or something. His speeches are. I was one thing about his speech writers. They're pretty good from what I've seen. Now, Robert Bigelow still works with the Pentagon on UFOs, although it's not in the limelight. So that's one resource that you could go to for information. Now, I'm going to go back to Robert. I don't know how much time we have.
you have plenty of time.
Okay, so
Yep.
when I was assistant state director for MUFON in Colorado, we were starting the STAR Team program. The STAR Team program, because MUFON's got their own investigators. For people that are listening that are MUFON investigators, the STAR Team was the most experienced members. Were going to be a rapid response team. And so anywhere in the U.S., if something that looked like it could be a Roswell or Aztec or I just drew a blank on that other crash, but the rapid response team would go there. And Robert Bigelow was funding the STAR team, meaning that he was going to pay for the investigation, the traveling, if there was, hotels, he was going to buy the equipment, da 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 da. Right. And we all got on board. I still have my STAR team bag. And The first investigation for the STAR team was a cattle mutilation investigation that popped up. And so I literally had the very first STAR team investigation, and it was in I think it was Weston, Colorado. And it was a mutilation case where the rancher had seen a UFO. We rolled on it. And I grabbed a quick team together from MUFON, and off we went. And I got samples, and I took the samples to the lab and paid for lab analysis and food because we thought we had a budget. Come, put all that out there. Went to Bigelow, and Bigelow says, "No, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be a STAR team, investigation. I don't want it." And so I got caught, paying for everything out of my own pocket. That's when I decided, okay, starting from that day, and I don't hate MUFON. MUFON had nothing to do with it, but from that day, my investigations are independent, completely separate from any investigation that's with MUFON. This one goes to my website. This is for MUFON. I won't share, and which is probably the best way of handling it anyway, right? So you're not, so they're completely separated, and that's fine. But so when he said that, and they said they're not going to fund it, what kind of got me mad? And I said, well, you said you were going to do that. Now you said, so I started investigating the workings of Bigelow and MUFON, what's going on there. And I'm going, oh, why not I just turn these UFO investigation experience and just flip it and start investigating within. And I found out that Robert Bigelow was being paid. The money that was coming from Bigelow, now maybe some of it was his own, but the majority of money that was coming from Bigelow for the STAR team was given to him, was being paid by a government entity. And I just assumed it was the CIA or the NSA or something. And then the equipment that we were supposed to get, we never got. Although he did buy some equipment, and certain people higher ups in MUFON kind of kept it for themselves. Okay. But because I was assistant state director and I knew I was kind of, I was out there, so I was very open to, a lot of the MUFON directors in other states. I was getting information, emails and stuff saying, hey, we got a STAR team investigation. We were told, okay, we got appointed a STAR team investigation. This is another state. And we went out to do the investigation, and we talked to the witness. The witness says, hey, you guys were already here. You were here 2 days ago. You were here a day ago. And they go, no, well, we're here now. He goes, no, you're already here. What Bigelow was doing was his team, for MUFON to be able to have investigation, be a STAR team investigation that would be funded by Bigelow, we would have to send an email and the investigation to Bigelow. Bigelow would then decide, not Robert, not himself, but someone with the department would decide, okay, this is a STAR team, go ahead and roll on it, or fund it, or whatever. So we had to get their approval for every investigation we wanted to do that was going to be a STAR team investigation. It seemed like it was taking about 2 to 3 days for them to get back at us. Correct? What was happening, I think, was we would send the investigation to Bass. Bass would run their own team up and do the investigation. And then after the investigation was done, then they would contact Ruth and say, yeah, go ahead and send your STAR team. And that's why some of our guys were being jumped by another team. So I went, okay, this guy's kind of shady. But not really, because, and I like the guy, I like Robert Bigelow. This was just business, that's all it was. And it's just good business for him, but he was working for somebody else, and I knew that. And went, all right, well, I could talk about it now freely because we know who he was working for. He was working for the Pentagon, and he was funded $17 to $22 million. So that was the other entity that was funding him. That in that turn, he was funding STAR Team some of that money, and it makes sense because, why, if you only have a couple of investigators out there, why not have hundreds of investigators all over the United States? You'll find out. I mean, MUFON really, in my opinion, MUFON's been tapped by the government from get-go, from day one. And the reason is it was like, I forget if it was 58 or 50, 58 or 59, 58, I think was it Blue Book ended, and 59 MUFON started. And it was just like, really? Well, so Blue Book ended, but did Blue Book really end? Or was it just a clever way of creating these volunteer investigations all over the United States to do your work for you? Instead of poor J. Allen Hynek bouncing around all over the U.S., you've got hundreds of amateur J. Allen Hyneks jumping around and getting.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We're having paranormal activity.
Yes, we are.
Are you with us, Chuck?
Chuck, you there?
No, we lost him.
Lost.
Okay.
Gosh darn it.
Second. There you are.
Hey, okay, so was it on your end or my end?
I don't know. We're having paranormal activity. Maybe
Okay,
it's the
okay.
government trying to block us
I
out.
gotta tell you. So the first time I talked about that, I got knocked off of a podcast, and it was a technical difficulties, and I didn't know whether or not the podcaster did it himself, just to but he never came clean. But
No, I
I had talked about this before, so this is nothing new, and I'm always open. This is what I've learned, and like I said, I don't blame Robert Bigelow. That's his business. That's he was, and working with the government, giving information to the government. I think it benefits all of us. So I'm always there to help anybody who needs help. I don't keep it to myself and going, I'm not going to tell you. It's all the information's out there. But if I think there's some things going on, I'm going to let people know. Hey, there's some things going on. If you get information like that, be open about it. Talk to people. Don't try to hide it yourself and think you're going to put one over on the government, because I ain't going to happen. So kind of be honest with it. With me, I know that I know of one or two people in MUFON today that are, that work with the military or work with our government, helping them get information. No, they're not spies. They're just, they're alien or UFO whistleblowers that work for the government, basically, except they're whistleblowing all the information. But it makes sense. I mean, it really does make sense for a
Yeah.
government at large, and for so much going on. The best way, and if you really think about it, for all you investigators, and especially MUFON investigators, if you really think about that your investigations are actually going to government investigations, it's kind of cool if you really think about it. You're kind of like, hey, I'm kind of like helping out. I'm part of the group, or I'm helping out. But and I see it that way. You want to be honest and open about this, but you got to also know that this stuff does happen. It does go on, and these large organizations, like right now, there's certain words that if we said on a podcast would be picked up by these Trojan, programs that are picking up certain words, and then they start pegging our IP addresses. That's stuff goes on. What do they call it? Internet
Yep.
espionage stuff. But it's, they're just trying to make the world safer. But with coming out and saying aliens exist, I personally don't think. A lot of us that are involved in UFOs, people that are watching your shows, they can handle it. It's the other people that don't take the time to understand what's really going on. I can honestly tell you, I've seen craft, I've communicated with craft, I've had responses from ghost investigations, I've seen Bigfoot footprints, I was tracked by Bigfoot while we thought we were tracking it. Yeah, right, right. It was
For
tracking
sure.
us.
For
And,
sure. Always. Always.
and And I've seen an interdimensional being. Some people call him the hate man or the hat man. Huh, the hate man. The hat man. I've actually
Oh,
saw.
really?
Yeah. So I've
Very
seen
cool.
I've seen stuff that I know that what we see is there's more to life than what we see. Now, if you choose to look outside the box, you'll be amazed at what's going on outside your house. But if you want to stay in your house all your life and just know all the walls and the perimeters of the inside of your house and never go out the front door or back door to see that there's a sky and there's a sun that rises and sun, you'll never know what's really going on. But if you take the time to go out and and see what's going on, you'd be surprised. And it's not all bad. I mean, there's certain scary things that you've got to deal with, but the best thing is when you see this and you experience it, you know that we're not alone. Number one. So what we see isn't just all there is. There's more to this. Actually, that goes way, way back when I was in elementary school. I don't know if I seen a UFO year when I was a kid, or what I think it was. 'Cause who knows now? Because I was probably 6 or 7. But I would go to catechism, which is Catholic school after elementary school. All it was basically was babysitting service basically. So a bus would pick you up after school, elementary school, and they'd take you to the church, and I used to get in trouble all the time with the nuns because they would be saying something from the Bible, and I'd say, no, it's more than that. And I can tell you, right, I always said it over and over again, no, it's more. There's more. It's more than what you're saying. There's more out there. So even when I was 6 or 7, I knew that there was more to life for whatever reason. I don't know why. Probably because my mom had a sighting when she was a little girl, and maybe that's just part of our DNA. But I used to get in trouble. And yes, back in the day, the nuns would smack your hand with a
That's
ruler.
right. That's right.
It's,
You
yeah.
know, you remind me a lot of David Palisades. How
Yeah.
a detective, but he investigates cryptids, and you investigate UFOs. I know Matt has some questions regarding some of your detective work. Why don't you ask him, Matt? Because I know we're
Yeah.
kind of end here.
Yeah. I know I'd like to thank you for your service, first of all.
Yes.
My brother's a law enforcement officer too, so I understand what you guys go through every day. So, do you do your investigations like a law enforcement officer, or do you do them differently?
Okay, so here's the interesting thing. So I was a volunteer deputy for 8 years, and my main job was microchip design. So that's my main job is designing microchips, and I've been on projects as simple as a traffic control system to satellites. So and then within the last couple of years, I was working for a company contracting, doing lidar systems, for autonomous driving cars, focal plane arrays, all kinds of cool stuff. So I was an investigator first, a UFO investigator for a few years first before I decided to get into law enforcement just as a hobby, not a hobby, just as a part-time thing, because I've always wanted to be a cop all my life. I just, I think the world of those guys, and people don't understand, what's really going on when it comes to law enforcement. All they see, they let their emotions think for them. You can't do that in law enforcement, or at least what you see in law enforcement.
Right.
So when I moved from California to Colorado and I got involved, I said, one way of finding out what's really going on out here, El Paso County is 2,200 square miles. And I said, if I take the Citizens Academy, then I can understand a little bit and talk to cops and see if if they've had their UFO sightings, and that's how it started. Then after taking the Citizens Academy, which was like 9 or 10 weeks, I found out that they had a volunteer sheriff's department, but you had to take the same test as any person to become a full-time deputy, and you had to go through the same academy that a full-time deputy would go through to be a volunteer, because once you put the badge on and the suit on, you're no different than a paid.
Right.
So within the 8 years I was a volunteer deputy, I would take a car out. I would run traffic. They always, because I was a UFO guy, anytime there was a dead body, guess who got to sit on it overnight? You know, and it was
Yeah.
always me, always me. Well, get Zoo out there. He's a UFO guy. He doesn't mind dead bodies. All right. And so I'm sitting there in a car, and there's a dead body of drug addict, whatever, that had died.
Yeah.
But and did you think I sat in a car by myself? Hell no. I had my night vision. I had a recorder there. I was running EMF. I was shooting night vision. you know.
Very cool.
Oh well, it's either that or you just sit in the car, all night and listen to the radio. Not the FM radio, but you had the car, the actual the sheriff's radio. So then I really enjoyed that, and I started using my UFO investigative skills in law enforcement, and in the way that I was talking to people. Now you have to understand that when you deal with some people in ufology, some of them are way out there. And I mean way out there where, I'll go to investigate and they're wearing aluminum over their heads. It's, and I don't want to like to make fun of them or mock them. It's just that, I totally understand. They don't understand. They don't understand what's going on.
Uh-huh.
But me being a microchip designer and knowing the technology, I can understand things a little differently when I talk to them. And so I was using some of those skills when I was a deputy. And I have to be honest with you, I didn't write a lot of tickets. Majority of the time, if I would stop someone, I would just kind of teach them, this is what you did wrong. Don't do it again. Da, da, this is why. Da, 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 this is what could happen to you if you do it again. Da, 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 da. Have a nice day. Because I always like to teach. And I figured I was going to be, since it didn't matter how many tickets you wrote with the sheriff's department, they only were on a strict budget. The money went back to the county or to the state. Unlike the city sometimes would write tickets and some of the money would come off for for the city budget. So, and then I got the opportunity of meeting a lot of people in the county, deep in the county, where I went back later, as myself, and I would run investigations in the other. I never mixed the two. So then I started learning more detective skills, which I didn't know when I got in law enforcement, working some crime scenes and working some other things with the guys who've had years and years experience doing this. And I started learning from them, which now gave me more of a better insight of what to look for in my investigative skills for UFOs. So for anybody out there that wants to, be a UFO investigator, pick yourself up a nice book on detective methodologies and techniques. And as it turns out, one of the things that I was already doing, sketching out every one of my investigations, detectives were also doing that. So I go, oh, good, because I'm doing that right. And then marking evidence and making notes. This is what I need to look at. This is what I need to look up. This is da, 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 da. So it really helped me. And then so as I was doing that, they were calling me the Molder of El Paso County, and I was able to. I would have city cops and county and marshals, marshals, tell me their UFO experiences when they were out in the field. And because they were afraid to talk to anybody in the public about it because they were afraid of losing their job, which I eventually lost my job over it. So if your listeners out there, all you got to do today, and you can still works, so you just type 3 words, deputy fired UFO. Just those 3 words, and my name will pop up. So there was a horse mutilation that happened in my county. I rolled on it as Chuck Zukowski, a field investigator, not as a cop. And when Fox News out of Denver came in to interview the rancher about it, the rancher called me and asked me if I could be there for the interview to help because she is a lady, older lady, and she just didn't feel comfortable. So I was there. And so they interviewed me too. And I said this, da, da, da. Then that damn reporter turned around and went to my department and interviewed the PR person. And I said it was a mutilation case. There was no evidence of a predator, no evidence of a human, which was true. 2 deputies from my department that were trained in animal cruelty cases because they're deputies and they do they need to see if someone trespassed on someone else's property, killed their animals, or if it was a predator. They had already been out there, and I talked to them and I saw the case report that they found no evidence that a predator to kill these two horses, and they found no evidence of a human that killed it. But because at most sheriff's departments, probably every one of them in the U.S., you only have two possibilities when that mutilation happens. It's either a human killed it or an animal killed it. And if they have no evidence of an animal killing it, they just, well, it's got to be a human. So they just, you know, say that's the case, or they leave it open. Right now, Madison County Sheriff's Department in Texas, they had the 6 mutilations 3 years ago. They're and I keep contacting them. They keep refusing to talk to me. Their case report is still open. I can talk about that in a minute. But so anyway, I said it was unknown, and the case report said, well, we can't find evidence it was human or predator. We just have to assume it was a human. But the PR person for the sheriff's department told Fox News that an animal had killed him. She lied. Now she lied, and I don't mind saying she lied. She lied. No, there's only two reasons she lied. First reason, she didn't lie. She just assumed that's what the case report said, which means she's not very good at her job. Because that means that in her mind, her opinion, meaning every time she's ever interviewed by the media, it doesn't matter what the actual case was about, her opinion is what happened, which she should be fired for that because you can't do that. Or she read the case report and the case report said that it wasn't an animal and she said it was. Either way, she lied. Well, because they took her word for it, and I clearly showed them the case report. I still have a copy of the case report that she lied. They fired me because I contradicted the department. No, she lied. And if I really wanted to, an attorney contacted me and said, we could just go to town with these guys. And I said, I'm really, really getting busy in UFO stuff. I really don't have enough time to do two hobbies. I got my day job, and cattle mutilation stuff is picking up, and I'm getting involved in Bigfoot. I'm getting involved in ghost investigations. I did a Mothman investigation in the New Mexico area, and I said I really don't have time. And I told my wife, said, "Look, you're just spending way too much time on hobbies, not enough time." And well, you're right. You're absolutely right. So one of them's got to go, and I knew that the sheriff's department was going to go. So I said, "Oh, it's time." Well, that was the best thing that ever happened because it went international. When they fired me, NBC picked it up. A good friend of mine who was a reporter, I had taken him out multiple times on cattle mutilation investigations, and every time, and when he found out I was terminated from the sheriff's department, he said, "You were a deputy?" He had no clue. And this is a guy that we spent 2-3 hours together in the vehicle, driving out there, driving back. At no time did he ever knew or thought I was even a deputy. Not until he found out from stuff that he picked up, PR stuff he picked up from the sheriff's department. He went, "You're a deputy?" I go, "Yeah." "You never told me." I'm like, "Yeah." you know. So
You said something really interesting about the Mothman. I do want to bring you on again. If we could bring you on for another interview in like a month or so, and I
mhm.
would love to hear all about the Mothman because
Yeah.
Matt loves the Mothman.
Well. I mean, I could tell you, right? It was just one investigation I was working with a Native American investigator on a reservation, and the eyewitness. It was animal mutilation, not a cow, but I think it was a sheep and a dog involved. But the eyewitness saw, and it's exactly what the eyewitness said. It was a man with wings, you know, and the way he described it was a Mothman. And this was on a
Yep.
Indian or Native American reservation in New Mexico, close on the 37th parallel, right there by the Colorado border. And so what he described is what at the time people were, or people describing it as a Mothman. So anytime I went on any type of investigation anywhere in that area, After that, I always kept a 40 caliber on my hip.
Oh yeah.
Ever since then, in any investigation, I'll always take some type of protection with me, and it's got to be bigger than a 380. It's got to be at least a 9 millimeter or 40 or 45. Because I don't know how big Mothman is.
About 8 feet tall.
About 8 feet tall. Well, I mean, I've gone out. Yes, I've gone out by myself, 11,000 feet elevation, by myself, looking for Bigfoot tracks, Bigfoot evidence, and people would ask me, well, what happens if you come face to face with a Bigfoot? I'm going, well, I wouldn't come face to face. I'd come either face to chest or face to belly or something. But you
I'd be
never want,
running.
Not
you
taking
never want to shoot Bigfoot. How many people
No.
have seen Blazing Saddles, right? The movie Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
well, you don't want to shoot Mongo because you'll just piss them off, right? You
Right.
don't.
Exactly.
No, no. And I've read some reports of what happens to people who shoot Bigfoot or shoot at Bigfoot. It's not good. But so I've learned a lot, from Bigfoot investigations, being by myself too out there. That I'm an idiot for being by myself and not having team members with me, and B, there are a lot of things that can hurt you. Bigfoot isn't really one of them. It's more like mountain lions and bears, that I was more worried about. When I was with my buddy Joe Fix, and we were investigating a Bigfoot in Golden, Colorado, and that's where we got tracked by Bigfoot. We were way, way deep in the mountains up there, coming back to our vehicles. The vehicles were parked, and as we were coming back, following our own footsteps coming back, there were mountain lion footprints that were following us. And I'm going, ooh, okay. Yeah, so while we're out there playing Bigfoot investigators, we got some mountain lion out there that's following us. And mountain lions are pretty big in Colorado, so you know.
Oh yeah, they'll track you down.
Yep. Big
Yeah,
time.
yeah, fun
This
stuff.
this has been fantastic. I've learned so much.
Thank you, Chuck. Yeah, you answered a few questions of mine while you were talking too, so very interesting. I love the 37th parallel. That's one of my favorite subjects in
Yeah,
in the whole thing.
thank you. And I just want to clarify one at a time that because when I talk about stuff about MUFON, about how the government has infiltrated, really seriously, that's just obvious. Come on,
Yeah,
anybody.
always. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's just obvious stuff for people out there going, "Oh my God, no, no, it's very obvious that they do because it's an easy way of getting information, and it's also an easy way of getting more information if you pay someone within MUFON to do investigations for you without really knowing who's. You always have silent partners in companies, right? Silent
Yeah.
partners that you give money. That's all it was the government's a silent part. So there's nothing evil about the government doing this. Like I said,
Oh,
I work with as much as I can, and I help them out. We had a government informant that was helping us, and he wasn't really. It turned out to be an informant with Alien Highway. It turned out that he was okayed to give us the information. So now, could that be part of disclosure where there's entities in the government that are saying, yeah, go ahead and give that little piece of information out? And so I've seen
yeah.
that. So maybe that's part of the disclosure too. But our government, they're not bad guys, not at all. They're trying to figure out what's going on too. Granted, there's probably some deeper in there that really know what's going on, and but for whatever reason, they decide, not to release the information at this point because it could be detrimental
Yep.
to the safety of the United States in the future or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
If maybe they're,
And
how you're playing poker and you're hiding an ace, right? And you
uh-huh.
don't, or whatever, and you don't want to drop that ace, and if you don't need to, or whatever. If we have alien technology that can obliterate a whole country, are you going to throw that out there for Iran? Oh, hell no. You're going to throw
Yep.
that out there when you actually have a full nuclear threat from, Russia or China or whoever,
Exactly.
and the whole planet's going to, suffer. So that's when you're
Yep.
going to throw your alien card out.
And
I heard.
I always say I have my disclosure anyway, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
probably too, Chuck. So
Oh, I'm happy. Yeah,
so why even force the government to do something like that? You know,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
we
mean,
all.
maybe for other people, but uh, us in the community, why do we need disclosure anyways? That's my philosophy.
yeah, and there's people out there. I get emails. I mean, Alien Highway is running this week somewhere because I got a couple of emails from people who'd seen the show and they really enjoy it. And they ask me questions about certain things that I came up with, and I'm more than happy I answer all the emails. Uh, but you're right. I mean, yeah, I'm very comfortable with it. I'm very comfortable with life after death because I know it exists because I
Yeah,
talked to it. I communicated with it. Not only that, but
right.
I know there's multi dimensions because I seen it with my own eyes. So so I'm very very comfortable with knowing that a heaven and I don't think actually a heaven and hell exists, but I think the concept of heaven and hell is parallel dimensions, and
Right.
that's a whole other episode if you ever want to get into that.
That
You want
that's
to
a
get.
cool. Yeah, that's very interesting subject too.
Maybe we'll
Yeah.
bring you back
Very.
for that one, man. That sounds great.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a it, I, I've actually one day years ago I was sitting at Starbucks in Colorado Springs for 2 hours sketching out parallel universe diagrams, trying to figure all out the whole bit. And the guy beside me was watching me, and I saw him. He got up and he moved over 2 or 3 spaces.
Well, me and Matt totally believe in the afterlife. We've both had
Yeah.
experiences with it.
Well, I mean, you talk to any
Yeah.
ghost investigator out there, they can tell you, that they've had responses, they've had EVP responses, they've seen things, I've seen things, the whole Hat Man thing, I can tell you later, that scared the hell out of me, and so I know that there's no,
I
there was,
so I know. I always thought that was a little bit of a story, but now that you
oh,
said it, so they do exist. So they do. It does exist.
or it does exist, and
Okay. Okay.
I was afraid that I was looking at the Grim Reaper, because you
Oh,
hear all those
jeez.
stories too. You
Yeah.
never know. You
Well, how
never know.
about next time we bring you on, we hear about the Hat Man and the afterlife stuff because that
Oh,
our
it's fun
listeners will love it.
stuff. It's fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys letting me come on and just
Thanks.
rant, rave, and have
Hey.
fun with this, and just and I please people out there, our government's not the enemy, and really aliens aren't the enemy either. We all share the same universe, right? That's all.
Right.
Yeah. And they're here
Right.
for whatever reasons. I don't get hard. I'll be for gosh sakes, no offense to the medical industry, but people die of malpractice. 350,000, close to 400,000 people die a year of medical malpractice. Right now, if
Right.
aliens are taking that, then it would be all over the news. But and that's not the case. As long as I've been investigating, I've only seen a couple of cases where they could have been related to UFOs. So overall, everywhere I've been at night, I could have been taken. I could have, nothing. So it's not as bad. There's a lot of stories
Yeah.
out there, a lot of misconception. I'm not saying you should go out in the middle of the night by yourself, take somebody with you, but
Yeah.
um,
Exactly.
I'm more, like I said, I'm more afraid of animals than I am of
Yeah.
UFOs. I'm more afraid of bears and mountain lions than I'm of Bigfoot. So
Well,
Yeah.
Chuck,
I've
thank
learned.
you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
today.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
See you later.
Fantastic.
Appreciate it.
Much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Bye now.
Good
Bye.
night. Hey, man, that was really fantastic.
It was fantastic.
Oh, man.
But again, people need to know uh, that they're being watched. Their information is being taken, and it's not for bad. It's for, I hate to say, the greater good, but I mean, we're all kind of working together. There's a lot of people in the military, a lot of people in politics that want to see disclosure, and this helps them too. So,
All right. Well, thank you
Cool.
so much for coming on our show
Thank
today.
you.
It's been
Okay.
enlightening. You have a fantastic evening, and I'll be talking to you soon because I want to bring you
Thank
back
you.
on.
Okay. Now, when does this air? Or did it?
It's
It's
airing live.
where
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
it's airing right now.
Okay. Okay. I'm just wondering, I forgot to tag my website.
It's
Okay.
okay. We're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and then
Okay.
it'll be uploaded to X, Rumble, Buzzsprout, and a whole slew of other
Oh
places.
boy, Rumble! I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, it'll be I'll make a short of what we did today, some of the greatest stuff, and then I'll put it up on Rumble.
Okay, if you could do me a favor and where it says, or just if you could add UFOnut.com somewhere. I forgot to my website. Just so they could
UFO
see
nut.
Yeah,
UFO.
If,
Yeah.
I'll also send you the episode.
Okay.
I'll share it to you, and I did friend request you on Facebook, so if you could add me, and then I'll send it to you there as well. And I'll
Oh,
also
on the UFO Nut Facebook.
yeah, and
Okay.
then I'll send it to LinkedIn as well. It'll also go up
cool.
on LinkedIn.
I'll
Okay.
have to follow you on Facebook now. Cool.
Okay. Thank
All
you,
right.
guys.
Awesome.
It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
fun.
Good evening.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Good night.
Talk to you later.
Good night now.
Good night.
All right, man. That was fantastic. That was
That
really,
was fantastic. He knows his stuff.
yeah, he sure does. Oops, my bad. Hey, what we're gonna do is we're gonna play a song, then we'll come back. Let's recap the interview a little bit because I know we have
Okay.
stuff to talk about, and we'll be right back, peeps. This is 51 Boneyard. I picked this song because it's called "Access Denied," and there was some crazy paranormal stuff that was happening while we did that interview, and I'm gonna bring it up when we
Yeah.
come back. All right, 51 Boneyard, and we'll be right back.
It's your call. You control the game. You're a constant teasing. It drives me insane. Not gonna play. You're not gonna rain. You're a drama queen who missed the parade. When I come to your door, access denied. So many things to explore, it's always access denied. Want it all, and I want it today. Got no more patience for your constant delay. You don't want me, don't expect me to say. I'll pack up my bag and be on my way. When I come to your door, access denied. So many things to explore, it's always access denied. More story, feel like a schoolboy in distress when the teacher tells you you flunked your test. This frustration it cannot endure. Well, one highway, I know that for sure. When I come to your door, access denied. So many things to explore, it's always access denied. Access denied. Access denied.
51 Boneyard. Access denied. Matt, did you notice
So
when
go ahead. Go ahead.
he said specific words, it
Yes.
started to cut out.
Yeah.
Did you notice
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And his
I
Wi-Fi signal was perfect. There's no reason why there
I
was
I was
any.
hearing that when he was talking about certain things, he just was mumbled. I thought it was my headphones for a while, but then
No,
it was him. That
that
was
was
crazy.
bizarre,
Yeah.
man. I've never had that happen before.
Nope.
And when he mentioned, I can't remember what he said, but he mentioned one thing about the government. It totally clicked off on him.
Right. Right. He went disappeared. He disappeared there.
Yeah, and then the crazy thing was, he said to us, he goes, "Did you turn me off?" I'm like, "Hell no, I didn't turn you off."
No.
The I don't know what it was. That was bizarre. It's
So
like he said it was.
sorry.
It's what he
So
said it was, right?
yes. Yeah. Crazy. So I finally found out how to enlarge this on my tablet. So I was squinting during the interview. So I'm happy now because it was like that on my screen, and now enlarged it. So I'm good
Well,
now.
we're definitely
I
gonna
was
have
happy
that.
with I was happy with that interview. That was fantastic. He literally during your talks he answered like four of my questions. So
Yeah,
I didn't
I
even have to ask. I didn't even have to ask him questions.
I think I
So
asked him 5 things. He pretty much covered everything I was gonna ask.
yeah,
It was
yep.
fantastic. That was
The,
one of the best interviews we've had.
I watched him all weekend, and he's good on every interview and every listening. Listen to some of the podcasts. He knows his stuff, and I'm glad he does it in a uh, more of an investigative way instead of uh, like a woo way. You know what I mean? He does it
Yeah.
straight up instead of. So I think I think he's. I always ask him if it's spiritual or nuts and bolts. I think he's more into the nuts and bolts than spiritual. But there's also spiritual. It seems like he knows stuff there too. So it's very cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to bring him back on to hear about the spiritual side of things, the afterlife, the Mothman, all that stuff. It's gonna be super cool, man. That was
Yeah.
fantastic. I don't know how
Yep.
many people are out there that watch the show today. If there's not hundreds and hundreds watching it, they're losing out because that was fucking incredible.
That was incredible. Yeah. You keep on getting the big ones.
Yeah, we got the big ones. We're gonna keep getting them,
Yeah.
man. Well, I think he's totally right when he said that every time we talk about UFO disclosure, something big happens in the world.
Right.
Iran war, the Epstein thing. He's right
Yeah.
about that. He's totally right.
Exactly. Yep. Everything. I mean, even back the yeah. Every time they talk about disclosure, something happens.
All right.
Even Biden falling off his bike.
Yeah. Hey, man, they all fall. I saw Trump fall up the steps of Air Force
Hmm.
One like Biden did.
Yeah.
They're all old and feeble. We got a bunch of
Right.
old people running the government, man. What do you expect?
Did you see him falling asleep in the Oval Office?
Yeah, that's
Talking.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd probably fall asleep too. That shit's boring as hell.
Right.
I don't know, man. The whole government thing. I think he's right about some aspects of the government, how they're really not out to mislead you and stuff. But then there's also the deep state and the cabal and the elites that
Yeah.
are out there to mislead you. It's a
Right.
crap,
Very
right?
much so. Very much so. I mean, but I think there's two different governments in the government too. So
And then we have the aliens that are in the government.
yeah. Yep.
All right. All right. So what do you have for us Thursday, Matt?
I'm going to continue on the 37th parallel because that's one of my favorite subjects now. So I'm going to continue doing that. I know you have strange news and shoot, sorry,
The graveyard shift.
the graveyard shift. Yes, that's going to be interesting.
I'm going to be talking about, graveyards, obviously, and a lot of the paranormal things that happen in the
Yep.
graveyard. Hauntings and EVPs and all that stuff.
Yeah. Don't. You Clevelanders, don't go down to that grave right there by the stadium down there by Ninth, because I wandered in there once, and there's a crazy feeling in it. I didn't see anything, but there's a heaviness to it. So
Is that the Lakeland Cemetery? It's
I
something.
I don't know. It's just a small block of thing in block of cemetery around everything else and down there. So
You know what I heard that was really interesting about graveyards? Do you notice they never build graveyards anymore?
no,
Where are they putting all the bodies? Right?
I
That's
don't
it,
know.
isn't it?
I know all of us are getting cremated, so that might be part of it.
Well, that's where I'm
I
going. As
I
is
told him I just told him to bury me in the backyard. I don't give a shit.
Until somebody buys the house and then they dig me up.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I was saying to my sister the one day. I was like, when my dad passes, what's going to happen to the house? And she's like, well, we're probably going to sell it. And I'm like, over my dead body, we're going to sell it. My cat's buried in the backyard. I don't want some motherfucker digging her up.
Right.
Yeah. We'll see. There'll be a battle, I'm guessing, when they go. All
Yeah.
right. All right. This has been a fantastic show. I'm super excited
Very.
about it. It's going to be shared
I am.
everywhere. I'll make sure.
I'm gonna rewatch it next.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure I get it out to Chuck. It'll be on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It'll be on all the places that we put stuff up at. And yeah, man, what a great day.
It was.
Excellent.
I
All
got
right.
excited.
And peeps out there, I talked to Mark Farner's agent today. Mark Farner will be coming on sometime in May. We're going to get it all finalized. He'll be coming on Thursday Paranormal. We're going to be talking about his near-death experience and going from there.
That's gonna be a cool one. That's gonna be a real cool one.
And I know that Rob is out there and he's watching the show. I want to play the EVP that I caught when I was with Jim on the show so he can hear it because I forgot to play it for him. Since we did talk about EVPs, I'm going to put it on right now.
Yep.
You guys check this out.
Pen kind of thing. It really is. They're not just talking about going against the.
Yeah. I heard a couple times at his house about that stuff. Some weird stuff over the microphones.
Yeah, he got freaked out when we wanted to do an EVP session there. He wouldn't
And
allow.
truthfully, I think that's the reason why he quit.
You think so?
Yeah.
He got freaked out because we wanted to do
Yeah.
EVP.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
was gonna find out he was demon possessed, man.
Right.
Yeah, we've had many EVPs on this show. The last Thursday Paranormal, we had a bunch of them. We had
Very
female
much so.
voices and we had male voices. And every time we do paranormal stuff, we have weird stuff that happens like today.
Yeah.
It barely ever happens on the Outlaw Radio Show, never happens on the Metal Show. And but this show, it always happens.
All the time. All the time. Yep. Started with Crawley.
Yeah, every time you bring up Aleister Crowley, man, or that other dude, I can't think of him right now. What is
Yeah.
it? I don't know. But Rob just said he's like, wow. And they're like, yeah, Rob, we have a lot of EVPs. If we put all the EVPs up, we'd probably have 20 or 30 of them. There's so many.
We should have recorded that EVP at the Frostland.
Oh, man, I wish we could have, but
We should have.
I'm sure when we do the seance, July 14th, and Rob, you're coming to that, I'm sure we're going to hear EVPs there. I know we're going to see, what the hell do they call those things? Orbs. Yeah. And you remember when I sent those videos to you of the poltergeist thing? Did you see all the orbs that were flying in and out?
Yes. I thought it was crazy. I thought it was dust at first, but
Oh.
he's got a lot of orbs on his show. He's got a lot of entities in his house or wherever he investigates. He must attract them.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That was crazy. All right, let's get out of here.
Okay.
We will see you guys Thursday, 7 p.m.
See.
Eastern Standard Time. And Matt, what do you like our audience to do out there?
Like, subscribe, leave comments, even after the show, and use the emojis.
All
also, it'll help with our algorithm and everything else with the show. And make sure you keep on subscribing and liking, because
So close to 500.
yep, after 500, it'll be a step up. So
We'll be able to monetize and make money on the show
right,
now.
right.
All right. Super cool. All right. This has been Outlaw PSA. We interviewed Chuck Zukowski. It's been a fantastic night. I'm going to leave us off with one last song. This is Conspiracy 216, and this is a brand new song. It just came to me the other day. And Matt, you have a fantastic evening.
You too, Jeff.
All right. Outlaw Nation.
Thank you all.
Take care. Conspiracy 216. This song is called Wasting Away. Matt, have a good night.
Good night, all.